Good afternoon. I am with Mr. Srikanth Chandrasekaran. He is a country head and director at IEEE India. Welcome, Mr. Srikanth.
Thank you, Sanjeev, for having me here.
So, Sri, my first question to you. Tell us about IEEE, how IEEE work in India as well as globally as standards are concerned.
Sure. Okay. So I will give a larger picture of the IEEE and then I will provide the role of IEEE standards. So IEEE is a fairly large organization. We are known in with several experts differently. For example, we cater quite largely to a research community. We have the IEEE digital library called IEEE Explore. We are a global organization made up of volunteers. We have close to about 520,000 members around the world, including more than about 100,000 members in India, right? Our membership consists of both industry professionals as well as students and researchers, right? So within this large ecosystem, IEEE Standards Association, IEEE SA, is a very critical vertical which develops standards across different segments. A lot of people do not realize we use IEEE standards in our everyday lives. People don't realize that Wi-Fi is actually IEEE 802.11, right? And Ethernet is IEEE 802.3. And so everybody uses Wi-Fi and Ethernet. And this is only in the communication sector. We have quite a lot of standards in power and energy sector, in healthcare, in AI, artificial intelligence, and now we are getting into newer areas such as sustainability, climate change, climate action, and also trying to address aspects around what are the commitments we make for products that are addressing children, like addiction and things like that, right? So we are at the intersection of taking products to the market, as well as how we can enable policymakers in making informed policy by ensuring that there are appropriate standards that they can work with, right? So it's a fairly large global ecosystem. And we have a fairly strong presence of the same ecosystem in India. So in some sense, we can call IEEE India as a microcosm of the larger IEEE. We have quite as I mentioned earlier, we have close to about 120,000 members in India. In India, we are having quite a lot of student members, who are of course the next generation workforce. And we are also having a strong community of standardized experts who are looking at new standards in the area of energy, in the area of telecommunication, in the area of environment, biodiversity, and sustainability. So these are some of the verticals that we are looking at. And within standards, we don't look at it regionally, right? So a standard is meant to be applicable globally. So when we create a standards working group, it's a global working group. So when I say that there is a lot of focus in India, either the leadership is from India, or there is a significant participation in this working group from India, or the proposal for a particular standard came from India. But once a proposal is approved, it is a global organization where people from around the world can join the standards development activities. So either we have people from India participating in other working groups like 802.11 and 802.3 and other work, or we have some of the work we initiated here and people from outside India participate in our working groups.
Interesting. So let's say if someone has an interest to become a volunteer or participate in the standards, what IEEE is doing, how one can engage with IEEE?
Excellent question. Thank you, Sanjeev. So it's a very open community, right? So we have two methodologies in which we develop standard. One is where individuals come together and develop a standard. For example, IEEE 802.11, it is called the individual process, where each person, each human gets a vote, right? And then we have an entity-based process where entities come together and develop standards. In fact, it is interesting because in the context of where we are, Electronica, right? When we talk about design automation standards, we do quite a lot of entity-based standards, where big companies like Freescale, Intel, Qualcomm, Synopsys, Cadence, Mentor, they all come together and develop standards, right? Having said that, anybody can participate, right? In an individual standard, you can join the working group, participate, contribute. The voting on the standard depends on your voting rights that are defined by the working group. In an entity-based standard, if you are not an entity member of the IEEE Standards Association, IEEE SA still has a process whereby you can join the working group and observe the work within the working group. If you want to participate, contribute, and vote on the working group, then you need an entity-based membership within the IEEE Standards Association. But that can be a university, that can be an industry, it can be a research agency, it can be a government agency, or individuals from these sectors can come and participate. In fact, a good standard has representation from all these different verticals, right? You want a manufacturing vertical, you want a design vertical, you want somebody working on research, so that you make sure that a standard is also future proof. They look at how the technology is evolving. So some aspects of the evolution of the technology can be captured in today's standards development. And you want policymakers, because when people are talking about how much noise we should tolerate, how much cell phones should generate noise, we want the policymakers to have a view on it and ensure that standards or technology are developed to ensure that there is an alignment on this.
Very good, very interesting. Now that Government of India has come up with this India Semiconductor Mission, and we are going to have our own wafer fabs, ATMP, OSAT, compound semiconductor projects, do you think government policy makers should get associated with IEEE to really define the India standards or to come up with specific India policies?
Absolutely, right. So we have quite a lot of cross-cutting verticals. On one side, we have a National Semiconductor Mission. Then we also have the National Quantum Mission. And then we have National AI, right? When we are looking at the chips, all of these things involve chip development, and chips are developed using standards, right? So we are nowadays we are talking about chiplets, right? We are getting into the era of 7 nanometer, 2 nanometers, right? All these things would require standards. So I definitely feel not only the policymakers need to be engaged in standards development, but also these missions also provide a lot of research grants to the community, to the research paper, for individuals to do research. And I personally feel the research community should also get plugged into development of these standards, right? One thing that I would like to highlight, the semiconductor industry, the chip manufacturing industry, it's a global supply chain. So one thing that it does is not only you are aligning your semiconductor mission, your quantum mission, to making sure that there is a Make in India products. The Make in India products can only be practical and can, penetrate the global market if it is built on some solid standards. One thing I would like to turn the tables, not only we want to participate in existing standards, I would like for Indian researchers, the Indian industry, to take leadership roles. How can we propose new standards in these emerging areas where others get to participate? And by doing so, I think we already have shown leadership. We will be able to ensure that our Make in India products are not just in India, but can have a global reach also.
Very interesting. Thanks for sharing, Sri, about IEEE Standard Initiative. My last question is, you have seen today Electronica, Productronica, and how the energy, passion, and large participation, how you see the Indian electronic ecosystem is evolving, and how these trade shows like Electronica help in contributing to growth of this industry.
I think Electronica is built on a very solid foundation. The Messe Munich, India, right? Messe, I know Messe that happens in Munich every year, and that is bringing the entire supply chain here, right? You are not only looking at chip manufacturers, you are looking at design providers, you are looking at manufacturing industry. Manufacturing is the core part of the industry, and I think it brings together all these different experts. And then when you have people moving around, they are representing various expertise. You'll have government agencies, you'll have policymakers coming in to understand where everybody is going. I think this is the right time. We talked about the NSM, we talked about the NQM. I think this is the right time when we should be discussing these things, not in a siloed manner, but bringing the various communities of experts together. And I personally feel we are in an era of quantum AI explosion, and semiconductor. You cannot, we can think a lot about software, but at the heart of it, there is a hardware, there is a chip, there is a software, and that is evolving at a scale that is unprecedented. And I think we need to have the community come together and discuss how we move forward from here, and how India and Indian experts through these trade shows can show the world and contribute to the world that it's a stable ecosystem that we are developing in India, increase the confidence amongst our supply chain. So I appreciate that question. Thank you.
Great, Sri. World is moving to AI big time. How IEEE sees AI revolution coming, and what you people are doing to address this new wave of technology revolution.
I was really hoping you'll ask that question. AI, within IEEE, we have been looking at AI since 2015, right? So one of the interesting changes that has happened in IEEE over the past decade, 10 to 15 years. So on one hand, we have the technology evolution. How can we make things faster, low power, low latency, high volume, all that stuff. On the other side, as we are doing this, one of the critical things we are looking at is also governance. As we are moving data from one end to the other in addressing all these functional parameters, how are we addressing the issues of identity, safety, security, privacy, right? These are all what I call as governance questions. So if you look at 2015, IEEE started a work on ethically aligned design. So the mission of IEEE is advancing technology for humanity. I believe that we are taking that a lot more seriously in the socio-technical work we are doing through AI, we are doing through addressing issues around environment, biodiversity. These are all affecting the communities in a significant way. So on one hand, you are looking at product manufacturers taking AI to the next level, but AI is penetrating the least common denominator. Everybody is using AI. In that context, what are our responsibilities? When I say what is IEEE's responsibilities? How can we make sure that these systems are built on solid ethical designs? So we have certain standards which is focusing on system level ethical design, right? How do you manage data privacy? How do you manage interaction between the machine and the human? That is a very significant aspect that we are looking at. So the socio-technical elements are becoming critical as we advance technology itself, right? So IEEE has about more than, I'm going to say 60, 70 projects looking at various aspects, going from large language models, the AI interfaces, to aspects around ethics and social impact within the AI space. Thank you.
Great, Shri. In fact, today I learned about how IEEE contributed to Wi-Fi and Ethernet. It is great, and thanks for taking time for this discussion today.
Absolutely.
And really looking forward IEEE contributing to India electronic story.
100%. One thing that I would like to highlight is we have to ensure that we do the full supply chain, right? As we develop standards, we have to also ensure that there is a compliance that is required. That is also critical to ensure that the market is meeting the compliance needs, by certification, by assessment, things like that. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that you have given me to talk a little bit about what IEEE does. I know that we scratched only the surface of it. It is the tip of the iceberg. But I'm hoping that viewers who are watching this, if they have any interest, if they would like to contribute, if they would like to participate, they can certainly reach out to MMI, they can reach out to me, and we will be happy to engage them in our ongoing emerging work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Srikanth Chandrasekaran.
I appreciate your time, Sanjeev.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.